New segment, Rattle the Saber. Big Sills. Yes, sir, baby. 37 days to Camelot. Start a training camp. Yeah, I say that now, all being out of shape and years removed from it. 37 days years ago, I used to do those things, man. 3 a days. No, thank you. But 37 days to training camp. And I think we're like 3 weeks out from teams reporting for the Hall of Fame game. Man, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Absolutely incredible. Hey, by the way, I saw Brandon Graham on with the Sports Take guys. He is one of the nicest people I have ever heard talk on the air. And I'll say this, he reminds me of this guy, Leroy Selman. Nicest guy you've ever seen in your life. But at the end of the day, Leroy Selman is the greatest. He's the greatest 34 defensive end, according to Mean Joe Green and Bill Belichick, the game has ever seen. Leroy Selman's the greatest 34 end of all time. That's when they were putting that top 100 together. Me, Joe Green, and Belichick said that guy right there. Leroy Selman was the sweetest guy on the planet. Dear friend of mine, one of my closest friends. What a great man. And listening to Brandon, dude, I see Brandon Graham looks like a really great guy, man. Very kind, considerate, loves where he plays, loves his teammates. Really had a great career. I suggest you go back and listen to that interview because it's a privilege to listen to him talk. It is. And I love how he talks about the younger guys, how he talks about the culture in the building, how he's proud to be part of the building of that culture. You know what, too? See, Big Sills is not one of the guys that is for the faint of heart. He was a little kind on Chip. See, if that was my coach and Chip was a toolbox like that to me, I don't know if I'd be that kind. You know, things didn't kind of start out well for me. I'm going, go ahead, go knee deep, man. Come off the top rope. Drop that bitch on Chip. It's okay. Everyone knows he sucked as an NFL head coach. Go ahead. He couldn't do it, man. I guess that's the difference between being a great dude and a guy like Big Sills. Okay? I do, man. I enjoyed listening to that interview. I did. I thought it was really cool listening to him. And he seems like an absolutely wonderful guy. All right. I'm going to make this proclamation here on June 20th. Okay? About your boy Jordan Davis. He better start this year, and he better have started numerous games, and he better be considered a starter by the end of the year. Or I will tell you this, that is not headed in the right direction. I don't want to hear that the 13th pick is in the Derek Barnett category. Well, he's not an every down guy. When you're in the 13th hole, you are expected to be Fletcher Cox, guy. See, I personally think, you know who I think the starting tackles are going to be? I think the starting tackles are going to be Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox and not Jordan Davis. There's a reason you went back into the draft 2 years in a row and grabbed the DT. Because you're not happy with what you saw last year. You think he's a good player, but you don't think he's a game. Jordan Davis is not a game-changing player. He hasn't shown it yet. Fletcher Cox, if you go back and you look at Fletcher Cox's first season with the Eagles, he didn't really even start. Go back and look at those numbers. You saw he was a force and going to be a force. You saw it. Jordan Davis is not a game-changing guy. He's a fire hydrant. Jalen Carter is a firecracker, like a Roman candle. Those are the guys that are impact players. Jordan Davis, as of right now, June 20th, is a fire hydrant. Fire hydrants do what? They sit there and do nothing spectacular. They just sit there. When needed, they give you some water. Other than that, nothing spectacular about a fire hydrant. He's not spectacular. He's not a wow player as of yet. Then again, what was crazy about the whole scenario, when you watched him at Georgia, he was a spotty guy. Of all the football players, all of them that the Eagles have this year that they got to count on, Jordan Davis, in my opinion, even more so than Nakobe Dean, has more question marks on him than any player since Carson Wentz. Do you know Jordan Davis has a chance to go down as the next version of Carson Wentz? But this one's on the defensive side. Hoss, there's a reason they drafted another tackle. They didn't believe in you. Or wait a minute, I'll back that up. They kind of did. Once again, too, I go back and I bring my boy Xander into this. Can you imagine somebody doing the Big Sil show? Hiring somebody to do the Big Sil show right after my show or before my show. I mean, I'd be like, you hired Big Wheezy? Why is Big Wheezy on JAKIB? You got Big Sills. Yeah, but I thought we'd get Big Wheezy. I'd be like, damn, they don't really think much of me then. Somebody getting drafted in the same position that you play, that's a problem. What would Jalen Hurts think if the Eagles had drafted somebody in the first round and he was a quarterback? What do you think they would have thought? That was good or bad? Damn, they don't believe in me. Greasy, baby. Jerry Lewis. It's a joke he went 13, you mean? Is that what you're saying? I agree. Thank you, Greasy. What's Sills wrong about? Oh, what am I wrong about? I'm not wrong about shit. You're superstar. Well, the Eagle fans have dubbed him an all-pro before he even starts. Like I said, I had a better rookie year, and my rookie year sucked. I had actually 20 tackles, 12 games. What'd this guy end up with? Well, he was hurt. Yeah, he never got his job back. They had to go to the ice cream stand and get Linville Joseph and Adama Sue. How he had to dial up the ice cream. Hey, Ben and Jerry's? Yeah, hi. I need 2 DTs. I hear there's 2 out front. Oh, I know they haven't practiced all year. Hey, you guys in shape? Or are you guys eating too much Rocky Road? No, we're good. Okay. Didn't have – no, the guy that you drafted eats too much Rocky Road. Hey, all I say to you is, Jordan Davis, lay off the Rocky Road and the White Castles and we're good. And we'll see what happens. That guy's never going to be a force on your defense. And some are going to go, well, his stats will be hidden. Really? You know what that's code for? Well, we're going to hide the fact that he wasn't drafted in the right spot and he was overdrafted because you're compromising. You sound like people compromising for Hunter Biden. Hey, he's the president's kid. What the hell? Who cares if he cheated on his taxes? He got a gun. Nobody cares. Hey, he's the kid. It's all good. And you're like, okay, hope you apply that for me. Come on now. Here's what I see Jordan Davis. He'll be a nice rotational piece. And I'll pull a Xander on you. Yeah, he'll be your number 3 DT. So you'll have 2 backups that you drafted in the first round as depth. That's not bad. Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. I guess. Drafted 2 guys 13th. And they're your depth guys. Yeah, okay. Let's see how to. Hey, by the way, my boy Philly 500 will join us at 4:30. Man, I'm in a great mood today. Okay? I'm in a great mood today. I am. Because you know what we do here on the Big Sills Show, National Football Show, Truth, Justice, in the Big Sills way. I guess Jurgens is garbage if Steen starts, right? No, because he's a center. You're asking a guy to play out of position. He's not a guard. I guess Steen sucks because he's going to try to play right guard. No, that's not his natural position. You think that's going to be an easy transition because you got a guy on a chalkboard saying that Jurgens is just going to step in there as the guard. I actually think Steen starts. I actually want Steen to start. 6'7", 6'6". The other guy's not that big. He's probably as big as Jason Kelsey. I'll take Steen. Needs to man up a little bit, but that's okay at the right guard position. He's a run blocker on that side. I think Steen starts. I do. Jurgens is the apparent and the heir apparent of the center position, not the right guard position. Oh, but you think he's so talented he could play both positions. Really? Well, I don't. I think Steen's got the upper hand. And the way the guys are talking, it sure sounds it as well. So, JM, to answer your question, no. He's not battling for the center job. He's out of position. Okay? So, because Cox is a starter, that means Davis. You draft a guy in the first round, and he's not starting in his second year. You think, let's put that out there. So, if you draft a guy at the 13th pick in the draft, and he's not starting in his second year going in to the NFL season, you think that's good or bad? You draft a guy in the top 15. Do you think that's good or bad? How in the world do you think that that's a good sign? Fletcher Cox, the Eagles want him to be beat out. He's 33 years old. He makes $10 million. There's a reason you drafted 2 DTs. You want those 2 guys to be your future. Fletcher's still the best DT you have until we see Carter play. And I think Carter eventually will be an upgrade from Javon Hargrave. I do think that. I think he's got more potential to be a superstar player. Can I tell you who I think Jalen Carter's going to remind you of? The kid in Tennessee, that Jeffrey Simmons kid. I think he's got a chance to be something like that. An impact football player, a guy who rushed the passer out of the 3 technique. You can slide him to the nose, put him in a 1, put him in a tilt. He's more versatile than the other guy. The other guy's a one-dimensional fire hydrant. I'm not impressed with him. Jordan Davis doesn't impress me. When I watched Fletcher Cox's rookie year, he impressed you. You can see when a guy is a player. Like when you saw Landon Dickerson play, were you like this? Damn, that kid's good. That guy's a good ball player. Shit, you know what's crazy? Jalen Hurts is starting in his second year, and you guys gave him $55 million, and you call him elite. And you're trying to tell me if Jordan Davis doesn't start in his second year, he's still a star player? You're out of your mind. Which is it? What's your definition of a stupid-ass definition of elite? I think you running with a narrative here, bro. We retooled our interior D-line. You retooled it? How? You have no depth and you're younger. I bet anything that you want, Davis is a starter. Thank you, Marshall. Marshall, so you retooled your D-line. So you're going to take a step backwards this year because you're not experienced. And your middle linebacker has no experience. You actually think that that triangle this year is better than the one you had a year ago with Hargrave and Fletcher Cox and backups of Sue and Linville and TJ Edwards. Absolutely no, not even remotely close to that. Not even remotely close. Who's calling Davis elite? You're calling Jalen Hurts elite. after 1 year starting. 2 years. 2 years. Don't you think Jordan Davis should have that same distinction? If he's not starting this year, he's not starting. You don't think that's a bad sign? Wow. Hey, man, loyal to the soil. Congratulations. You guys are all good, man. Holy shit. You see the world differently than I do. Because when you're in the NFL and you play in Philadelphia and you're one of the teams to beat, the expectations are a little higher than, say, the Jets. Okay? There's no expectations in New York. They just want to get on the front page. There's very little expectations in certain places like Arizona. You get drafted in the first round to the Philadelphia Eagles? What do you think? Seriously, what do you think this is here? The Cardinals? Jesus Christ. Jordan Davis is not impressive. Let's change the narrative. Here, let's change the narrative. Can he? Well, probably, maybe. I don't know. Jalen Hurts changed it because he wasn't impressive his first year starting. He was okay. No depth, baby, at DL. No depth at defensive tackle. Absolutely no depth. I don't care what you say, Arthur. You have no experience with your two new tackles and Milton Williams. Those are your depth. And the kid from New Orleans. They got the kid from New Orleans. I don't give a shit what they say. Who? Chris Collinsworth? So look at Arthur. Arthur takes Chris Collins's word that the Eagles have depth. Yeah, okay. Hey, congratulations, man. That's quite an analyst that you guys follow. Chris Collinsworth in his PFF. So he has a website, and Arthur quotes it like it's gospel. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, they don't really think much of Jalen at PFF/Chris Collinsworth. Jordan Davis, as of June 20th, is a non-impressive football player. Man, he's big as a house, though, ain't he? Man. Hey, don't cry. You don't have to start crying yet. Jesus, man. We're only 17 minutes into the show. You don't have to start crying. Bob quotes the time. That's an untrue cop. See, April 29th, I did like the pick. He's underperformed. Okay, Bob. Okay, I like the pick. Unfortunately, he's not playing well. Okay, and? So you want me to stick with that stupid, shitty thing that said we like the pick, and on June 20th, we don't know if Jordan Davis is a good player or not? How dumb is that kind of stuff? Man, you listen to Howard Eskin and them guys way too much. Guys that have to hang on. Even Mike Missinelli, I got to admit, he flip-flopped on Wentz. Man, you guys listen to those old school idiots where you have to hang on to this thing like it's air. Guy performs or he doesn't. Case closed, guy. As of right now, your guy's got a big season ahead of him. Can he change it? Right on. Let's go. Hey, by the way, rooting for him. Seems like a good kid, man. I hope he does it. I honestly, I'm not rooting against him. Mello, we have 5 solid DTs. How many more do you need? How do you know that? Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, who barely played a year ago, Jalen Carter hasn't played a down. You got a guy from New Orleans that the Saints gave. And you got Fletcher and Milton Williams. What are you talking about? You got dudes that you don't know yet. How in the world? Now, look, I've said this before. I think Jalen Carter was the best player. No. He was one of the 5 sandbox guys. Paris Johnson, Bijan Robinson, Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, and if you want, Bryce Young or the kid, that Tyree Wilson kid from Texas Tech. If you want to go there, you can go there too. The rest of those guys were They're kind of like project guys. Okay? Milton Williams is 100% legit. Oh, we're going to find out. Oh, yeah. Didn't see him in the Super Bowl, though. Especially when Kansas City started moving the ball on you in the second half. By the way, I'll tell you what. I heard Brandon for the first time talk about the turf at the Super Bowl. That doesn't seem like a guy that makes excuses up. And I'm gonna take him as his word there that they weren't prepared equipment-wise to play in that game with their footing. Because when a guy like that brings something like that up, there's something to it. So you can look at your equipment guy not preparing you for the Super Bowl because of the turf. Everyone knows when you go to Pittsburgh, you better be prepared because it's a soggy field. It's below the Allegheny. You have to play with extra tall spikes because you'll slip. And it's equipment manager's responsibility to have you prepared for that. Now, again, that turf was really weird because they had put it in a formaldehyde jar and all that. Then they rolled it out there for the Super Bowl, which made the whole thing weird, but Kansas City played on it too. Oh, yeah, okay, Arthur. I guess the other team they played on at Kansas City, they played on it. Field was unplayable. What a bunch of excuse makers. Holy shit. Hey, man, you guys have a ton of excuses for failure instead of just addressing failure and looking at it and becoming better from it. Holy cow. This guy's legit. You see? All right. The field was unplayable. Okay. That's okay, though, man. It's good to be a fan. That's why there's more people in the stands than on the field. It's all right. I get you. All right. We're going to move on because I see some panties are getting twisted here. And I don't want anybody I don't want anybody to get too upset here because, you know, we are in the offseason here. It's all good, man. It's all good. I'm going to put this out there now. I'll tell you one thing that this Philadelphia Eagle team, as what are we, 37 days away from training camp. I'll tell you the one thing that this team has. I'm trying to look at one player on the football team. Do they have one player that's the best player at their position in the NFL? Maybe center. You was just comparing Carter to Jerome Brown. I never said he wouldn't be. I said we have to wait and see him play. Jesus, which is it? I think he, coming out of college, has the same ability as Jerome Brown. Yeah. Will he be a good pro? Yet to be determined. What did you understand about that? He's got all the tools Jerome had when he came out of Miami, but he hasn't played it down yet. He has no experience. What's the misinformation on that? I'm missing that. What did I just say that you didn't understand that was not correct? He's never played an NFL down. I said he's got potential to be like Jerome, but he's inexperienced as an NFL player. I'm missing whatever you missed. Not sure what you're talking about. Why? I mean, I'm not following that. It's okay. Then again, when you start talking to certain people sometimes, I find myself like in the toilet bowl and I'm that perpetual spin in the John where it just never flushes. So sometimes I just have to back up. I mean, okay. Anyway, is there one player on the Philadelphia Eagles that's the best player in the NFL at his respective position? Do the Eagles have one player that's the best at his position in the NFL? Probably Kelsey. Probably Jason Kelsey. Lane's not better than Trent Williams, but it's like this close. And plus he plays right tackle. He's not a left tackle. Left tackles make more. They're responsible for the blind side. There's a reason that guy makes $28 million a year. Lane makes a lot of money. And by the way, like I said, it's like this. But Trent Williams, any place but Philly is considered the best offensive tackle in the NFL. Okay. Got to take on all the elite rushers from the blind side. I'm not debating that. Left tackle is always known to be the number one tackle. Tackle, left, center, right tackle. Dude, traditionally in the past, what they used to do to tackles who were failures at left tackle, they moved them to right. That's not Lane's case. I'm not saying that. But I would say that the Eagles probably have one player at the position where you would call him the best player at his position. Okay? But I'll tell you what they do have. I'm trying to think of another football team that has the best duos than the Eagles. Like the 49ers don't have. Look at the Eagles here. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Both of those players aren't the best players at their position. But as a duo, Waddle and Tyreek Hill. See, personally, you guys are going to think I'm crazy here. I think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are better than Tyreek Hill and Waddle. As a duo, I think they're better. I think they're better because they do more. AJ's awesome in the run game. Devontae runs better routes than any receiver down in Miami. Chase and Higgins. But again, how much is Chase and Higgins involved in the run game? When you think of Chase and Higgins, fabulous pass-catching guys. But are they the best complete duo? Okay? Here's something else. Bradbury and Slay are not the best corners in the NFL. However, as a duo, Miami's guys are good. The Cowboys upgraded getting Stephon Gilmore, but Gilmore is past the 2019 Player of the Year on the other side of Diggs. I think Diggs gambles too much. So with Slay and Bradbury. But here's the other one. Name me a better tackle tandem than Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. Shit, I got to tell you something here. This team has got some duos, man. They've got great duos. Look at even Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham. Underrated and underappreciated. Okay? Underappreciated. Cosmo, I still think Stephon Gilmore has game. By the way, Gilmore's got a great resume. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. The guy is the former NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He's a fabulous player, but I think he's a little bit past it. Not saying that Slay is in the conversation not getting on the back nine of his career either. Okay, but what's the Eagles' best duo? Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Bradbury Slay, or Mailata and Lane Johnson? What if you had to pick? Now remember something. Playing corner, I say playing corner is as tough as playing quarterback in the NFL because you have a physical disability there. You know what that is? You got to run backwards the majority of the time to defend. Okay? Think about that. You're covering people like Justin Jefferson and you're backpedaling. That's a tough-ass position. Corners. Devontae Smith and AJ. Is there a better duo in the NFL? Let alone on the Eagles. Or how about Mailata and Lane Johnson? If you had to pick the best duo that the Eagles have on their roster, who are they? Gilmore and Diggs are going to be a problem for us. Hurts is going to have to use his backs, tight ends against them, and he's got to be better at manipulating defenders in the seams. That's not the offense. RPO is not that. RPO's not that. I actually think Jalen's got to be more of a threat in the run game against the Cowboys than a passing threat. Because what that does is it brings the corners up. And maybe those corners have to play some man. And if those corners have to come up and play man, that's when Goddard runs down the seam. See, to me, the way you beat Dallas, you got to run the ball on Dallas, and your tight ends got to be able to go against those linebackers to soften up the Y and Z. And to me, Goddard against Dallas is the key. Dallas Goddard's a mismatch against a lot of NFL teams out there, okay? It's an absolute mismatch. There's very few linebackers that are going to be able to cover Dallas Goedert because of his size, the way he blocks. You know, like I said, the only problem that I have with Goddard, he drops one out of every 3 footballs. But here's the thing that makes it, he's a better player than Zach Ertz. He's a better player. He's a better blocker. He looks for the end zone. The guy's looking to score every time he gets the ball in his hands. That guy there, in my opinion, he's the guy that Dallas doesn't have an answer for. Because why do you think Dallas went out and got Stephon Diggs? To cover AJ. To cover AJ. Hey, I appreciate you guys coming aboard here with us right now. I know we're doing a little bit of internet in and out here. Davis and Carter would be the best duo in the NFL. Hey, go back to reading your comic books, Arthur. You can do a better job of reading Batman or Superman or Aquaman than talking to me right now on June 20th about whether or not you're prognosticating. Yeah, you and Nostradamus can sit there and say that all you want on June 20th. You sound like the rest of those tools in Philly guessing on what might happen. Let's see it. Let's get out there and play some ball. Your boy last year shit the bed. He was not a good DT last year. He was okay. You could have got okay in the 4th round. Okay. Let's effing go. Arthur, you know, man. Arthur's one of my, hey, I can guarantee you, when Big Sills comes to Philly, Arthur and me will be drinking some beers. Who's Rashad Penny? I never heard of him. I haven't seen him. He's like Casper the Ghost. Rashad Penny. Hey, folks will love this stat. He's had 2 starts a year in 5 years, and has had 11 starts in his 5 years for a first rounder. He was a colossal bust in Seattle. A colossal bust. That's why they got Kenny Walker from Michigan State, and they let that guy go. Guy's made of balsa wood. You know the things you put your airplanes together with? Right? Rashad Penny's made of balsa wood. Guys like that. Hey, that guy's like that sub made out of like styrofoam. Hey, Rashad Penny might be built a little bit tougher than that sub that's got those 5 people that thought they'd go 3 miles down to the Titanic. Congratulations to you. I'm going to go down in a styrofoam cup to see the Titanic. Some people are the dumbest people on the planet. $250,000 to get crushed in a styrofoam cup. Hey man, where'd Big Sills die? He died in a Starbucks coffee cup on the way down to the Titanic. Holy cow! Talk about dumbness. You can't get any dumber than that shit. Let me go 3 miles down in a styrofoam cup, dude. Hey, not good, man. Not good here. Here's who my best duo is. Okay? Mulata and Lane Johnson. Dude, you guys got the best tackles in the NFL, and that is where you're going to win a shitload of games this year. Dude, hey, by the way, you probably have the best corner duos. You probably have the best wide receiving duos. But the best one on the Eagles is Mulata and Lane. These guys are earth movers, man. They're great football players. And to have them as both your bookend or offensive tackles is absolutely incredible. Congratulations. Dude, the drafting there, get this. And you know what makes this even better? You drafted Lane. What was Lane, the fourth pick in the draft? Was Lane the fourth pick in the draft? The other guy was a seventh rounder. So you had a first rounder and a seventh rounder. That shows you your draft room and your personnel department. That you're getting those kind of players. It doesn't matter the round you're drafted in Philly right now. Dude, I'm telling you, man, your boy Howie Roseman, since he came out of the broom closet, when they stuffed his ass in there, when Chip was in the house, he's a better GM. He's a better general manager. And again, pointing out the fact that in the Super Bowl, you only had one undrafted Eagle that was in that offensive huddle is more of a testament to the fact that how you guys completely shit the bed in the past about drafting, how you guys are now hitting on it with 17 to 22 guys off that team a year ago were drafted by the Eagles. That's a tremendous number. It's a tremendous number. Kudos, man. He is totally a better evaluator of where they're going. Well, he's staying in the Southeastern Conference too. Okay? He's staying in the SEC, which is going to help him because that's where the best talented kids are. And he's right to do that. Prior to that, they don't know how to draft edge rushers. They don't know how to draft cornerbacks. Shit, they surely as hell don't know how to draft linebackers. But Howie, over the last couple of years, is getting it right. We'll see if they get the linebacker position right with Nakobe. Question marks there, but I can't make any assessment on Nakobe because I haven't seen him play. To sit there and go, Nakobe Dean's going to have a breakout year. Dude, he could barely make it to the special teams. And you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to go like this here on June 20th. This guy's going to be the next Sam Mills. I don't think so. I don't. It doesn't matter where they're drafted, but oh my God, this first rounder didn't play well as a rookie. He sucks. He did suck. Okay? He did. He did. He was out of shape and unprepared. Actually, if you think about it, unprofessional. I don't care you're a good guy. Are you ready to play? No. When you're tapping your hat after 4 plays, it's time to reevaluate what you're doing. Okay? Jerome wasn't great his first year. Not true. He was on the All-Pro ballot, Pro Bowl ballot. Here. I happen to have that ballot. Just to show JM he's full of shit most of the time. Here is the 1987 Pro Bowl ballot. And there's your Eagle guys. Jerome was on the ballot. Oh, so was Big Sills. How you doing? This is the Pro Bowl ballot. I guarantee you Jordan Davis was on no Pro Bowl ballot. So you're full of shit. Boom! Damn. JM, here, JM, watch. This, woo. Got hurt a little bit, didn't it? Woo! Okay. That's right, Loki. Jerome Brown was never not good. Hey, he may have been a little undisciplined, and you got to pull the guy off the list, okay? But he was always a good player in Philly. When Jerome Brown stepped on the field, you knew what you had. Even Parcells said this. Our life has just changed, Sims. How many times has Phil Simms come on here? I don't hear anybody saying this about Jordan Davis. Phil Simms said, our life has changed. The Eagles just drafted Jerome Brown, he and Reggie, and he knew right then and there. I don't hear any kudos coming out of quarterbacks going, man, boy, that beast of a DT they got. Come on, man. All right. So this is what I've done here. Perfect timing. I have put together the Big Sills top 10 defenses heading into training camp, 37 days away. Here are my top 10 top units in the National Football League. Okay? Jerome Brown is royalty. Arthur, he is, man. Absolutely. Jerome Brown, royalty. By the way, the 19th, what are we coming up? Oh, hold on here. Am I right? Jerome, when did Jerome pass? I know that Len Bias. I know that Len Bias, 25th. That's right. 5 days, Jerome would be dead. Whew, man. It's always a tough one. So we'll just hang in there for that. Let me get back on the track here. 25th. Man. It's been so many years still, man. It just seems that it's unbelievable that guy's gone. No, it wasn't 86. He played with me in 86. It just doesn't seem, just as, some of you know it, but we're up in Connecticut, and I was training camp. And you guys remember the guy, Eric Andelsek. He was a guard for the Lions. And he had died in Thibodaux, Louisiana, I think a week earlier. I think Eric Andelsek was hit by a truck. He's a friend of mine. And the AP guy calls me, a friend of mine too, and he goes, "Hey, did you hear the news?" I said, "Yeah, man. Eric Andelsek died. He played at LSU. I knew him from All-Star games." Okay? And they go, "No, did you hear what happened to Jerome?" I'm like, "No, I just talked to him 2 days ago." And they go like this. They go, "No, man, he died. He was in a car accident." And I was like, well, I called up there and I called this number. There's where his home is. 11472 Shady Crest Court, Brooksville, Florida. 904-79. The family's gone. 1975. Yep. Great dude. Unbelievable. All right. That's a great question that I just saw somebody say. Is it necessary to have a top 10 defense any longer in the NFL? That's a great question. I don't know if you can build one anymore. It's a great question. I heard Hugh Douglas say, having those Raven and Buccaneer type defenses, shit, even like the defense. Hey, look, the defense you had last year is not even remotely close to the 04 defense, the 17 defense, and Gangrene. Okay, I would take Gangrene over last year's defense any day. They were more physical. They knocked the shit out of you. More teams were in fear of them. But you can't play that style of ball any longer. It's a great question. It really is. How do you need? We'll expand on that, but let me give you my top 10. My top 10 big sales defenses in the National Football League as we get ready for training camp. Number 10, I got the Broncos. I think the Broncos have a lot of talent. Patrick Surtain. Hey, that Justin Simmons kid that's also back there in their secondary, they got some good football players back there. Denver is not going to have a problem this year, in my opinion, when it comes to playing defense. They were a pretty good unit last year. I think they're a good football team. And I want to see the influence that Sean Payton has on this, but dude, they got some good players on defense. I think the Broncos, I'm with you, Cosmo. I think the Broncos are legit as a defensive football team. Number 9, I got the Bills. You know, for the first 10 games of the season last year, I thought the Buffalo Bills had the best defense in the NFL. Then Von Miller got hurt, and I thought they kind of sputtered towards the end. They really couldn't get after people, especially in the pass rush. And in the AFC, you have to get after people and rush the passer, in my opinion. And I think that whole unit looked different when Von got injured. Sean McDermott had, you know, if you look at it, over the last 4 years, the team that has averaged being the best defensive football team has been the Buffalo Bills. And the Bills, once again, they struggle at getting to the quarterback a little bit. So to me, I still think they're a good unit, and I got them ranked 9th, another AFC team. I got the Commanders at 8. Man, they could just beat people up in the trenches. They beat the Eagles up last year in the trenches in game 2. They beat them up in the trenches. Washington, I thought, was more physical than Philadelphia was in that second game. Philadelphia manhandled them in that first game. Washington manhandled, I thought, the offense in the second game. I mean, if you look at the offensive statistics in that Washington game, game 2, there weren't really big numbers put up by the Commanders in that game. They stuffed you on defense. They're fantastic inside, physical, tough. What's Chase Young going to look like this year? They've already made it clear they're not picking up his contract. There's even rumors that they're trying to trade him. The Steelers are interested in him too. What Chase Young are you going to get? Are you going to get Chase Young like we saw? Personally, I thought Chase Young showed me more potential than Michael Parsons. When he came out of Ohio State, I thought he was a better prospect. And then he got hurt. Now he's fallen out of favor with the organization, so much so they're letting him go into his final year. That guy puts up 16 sacks. He is going to make a mint on the open market. But I find it hard to believe that Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera, having seen him go through OTAs, haven't made their assessment going, I'm not sure what we're going to get with Chase Young. That's why they put him on the market. So is he damaged goods? He might be. I'm going to be very interested to see. He's the key to their season, too, on defense. Because if he could return to anything like he was 2 years ago, they got something even more special over there. Okay? They do. So I got the Commanders at number 8. This is the Big Sil's top 10 defenses. Speaking of the Steelers, Steelers got a lot of talent, man. A lot of talent. But last year, a lot of injuries. TJ Watt had an injury-plagued season. They had so many guys in and out of the lineup last year on defense. Minka Fitzpatrick is a spectacular player. They get Joey Porter Jr. in the draft. They're adding depth. Hayward up front. Man, they got a good defensive core. One thing I'll say again, though, that their linebackers have not been good since the injury to Ryan Shazier. They can't cover tight ends, man. And that has been a problem, especially in the AFC. A team like Kansas City beats Pittsburgh because Kelsey goes crazy on them. They can't defend the tight end. And a team like the Eagles, man, who's defending Goddard? TJ Watt? That's not happening. It's a physical mismatch. He's a 6'5" guy against a 6'3" guy who's 238 pounds. He's going to kill that guy. He's not going to cover him. Okay? He's going to, no, not a chance. Number 6, I got the Patriots. Always a great unit. Do you know that they gave up the 4th fewest yards per play than any defense in the National Football League last year? That's not a surprise because of Belichick. And by the way, when you got coaches in that building, Matt Patricia, and all those coaches that know how to put defenses together, you're always going to be in the room with a great unit. And Matt Patricia, being in the building, is going to be able to dissect the first game of the year for the Eagle offensive coaches to tell them exactly where the weaknesses are and where you can attack those defenses. The Patriots are a great unit, okay? Now, could they be better if they had DeAndre Hopkins or a Dalvin Cook? Absolutely. And that'll make that defense even better. You know, I still think they're a little weak at corner, which is shocking because they usually have really good corners. But they're a little inexperienced there. The linebackers are not bad. They're pretty good in the front 7, and they can get after people. Okay? But, again, they're a scheme-oriented defense, which means that they're going to look at the personnel. And if my opinion, how the Patriots would attack the Eagles, they got to stop the run. And to me, the signature guy is this. I'm going to let Jalen Hurts beat me throwing the ball. I don't want him beating me on 3rd and long or 3rd and whatever to pick up the first down running the ball. I think you got to keep a spy on him. I think now that you've got some tape on him, you've got to keep him in the perimeter and you got to keep him in the pocket. You can't let him break containment on you. Jalen Hurts, I think, is more danger. Here's something for you guys. If I were in that building with the Patriots, Jalen Hurts in open space is probably the most dangerous quarterback in the league. You would say, what about Lamar? Lamar's reckless, hence his injuries. I didn't say he's a better runner in open space. Listen to my words. He's the most dangerous quarterback in open space. Lamar's the most electric. When Lamar takes off running, he's electric. Watching him play, Jalen, methodical. See, Jalen's like George Foreman. He's not worried about winning the rounds. He's going to win the fight. When we had George Foreman on, what was it, a year ago, Xander? George Foreman always said this: I never wanted to win rounds. I didn't give a shit about winning rounds. I cared about winning the fight, which meant methodically beating you down. And that's kind of what he does. You see, the guy in Kansas City, spectacular plays. Spectacular plays don't necessarily win you Super Bowls. His case, it does. He's a spectacular player. But it's a guy that doesn't turn the ball over. Guy knows what he's doing on the field at all time. Situational play calling, getting down, not taking minus yards. You know, it's funny. I don't know if you guys, hey, JM, I'm going to make this comparison. If you guys tell me if you see this. To me, Jalen Hurts is more like Emmitt Smith. And Mahomes is more like Barry Sanders. You're going to see some minus plays up there in Kansas City. And you're going to see some turnovers up there in Kansas City. But what you're going to see with Jalen is this. Like Emmitt, 8 yards, 5 yards, 9 yards, 15 yards. Like I told you guys before, you look up, he's got 25 carries, 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you go like this. What? How many times have you looked up at Jalen's stats and went 310 and 75 and 2 touchdowns? Holy shit. Holy shit. Don't compare anyone to Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders is nowhere near the running back that Emmitt Smith was. Not even remotely close. Emmitt didn't have minus plays. Barry would go like this, -7, -8, 75 yards. Those minus plays could be critical in a third quarter or fourth quarter. You got to learn to live with those. Emmett was 10 times the player. And everyone's always going, well, he had a better O-line. No, he didn't. He made that O-line. He made that O-line great. Every single one of those players, as I've told you, was with Tom Landry his last 3 years in Dallas. What'd they do with that line? Nothing. They won 4 games each year the last 3 years. They didn't. Mark Tuney was there. Nate was there. Gogan was there. Crawford Kerr was there. All those guys were there. Every one of them except Stepnoski. They were there years in advance before Jimmy showed up. Landry drafted all those guys or signed those guys. Nate was a cast-off from the USFL. So when everyone goes, well, Emmett had the better O-line. Well, what did they do for 5 years previous before Emmett showed up? There's a reason Emmitt Smith was the greatest back of all time, and his numbers dictate that. He had 12,000 rushing yards at Escambia High School in Florida. He had 4,000 rushing yards in 3 years at Florida, and he almost had 20,000 yards rushing in the NFL. I don't know about you, but there wasn't a level he didn't kill people at. So when you say all these things about the Dallas Cowboy O-line, dude, I think the Eagles have a better O-line than that Cowboy line. I think that current Eagle group that you have right now, that Eagle O-line, in my opinion, I think it's better than the Cowboy line. You just don't have a running back. Oh, wait, your quarterback. You don't really utilize that O-line to its effectiveness because you don't really believe in a running back. If Bijan Robinson was drafted by the Eagles, he would have led the NFL in rushing. You put Dalvin Cook back there, Dalvin Cook would lead the NFL in rushing. Look at the yards he had last year. You put him behind a better O-line with a quarterback and 2,000-yard receivers, Dalvin Cook could get 2,000 rushing yards this year. But the Eagles don't want to go there. Okay. Here, how many yards did Dalvin Cook have last year in Minnesota? How many yards did he have in Minnesota last year? What was the number he had? Dalvin Cook stats. So he had 1,173 at 4.4 yards a carry and 8 touchdowns and 264 carries. I don't know about you, man, but you put him behind the Eagle O-line, he gets 1,500 yards. He gets 1,500. And he probably leads the NFL in rushing. Emmett had the best O-line in history. That's an absolute lie. That's an absolute lie. Not one of those. How could he have the best? Wait a minute. Let me get this right. You've got 2 Hall of Famers on your line. There's not one Dallas Cowboy offensive lineman that will ever see the inside of the Canton Hall of Fame unless he buys a ticket. How could he have the best O-line? Not one guy is remotely even thought of when they won those Super Bowls. Larry Allen came later, and I don't know if Emmett played with him. I don't know if Emmett played with Larry. So you're making this the best O-line. Made up. Emmett had the best O-line. Seriously. Shit, Barry had Lomas Brown, Kevin Glover, Eric Andelsack a little bit. Okay? Greasy. Never won a Super Bowl with Larry Allen when they were dominating the NFL. Larry Allen wasn't on those Super Bowl teams. Okay? He was not. Okay. By far, all due respect, you've got 2 Hall of Famers in your line and you think the Cowboy line was better. Okay. We'll agree to disagree. Let me move on. Now we move into the top 5. Xander, I'm going to roll through the top of the hour because I want to do the total 10 here. I got the Cowboys here at 5. Big Sil's top 10 defenses, 2023. They added Gilmore. Mozzie Smith, I think he's overdrafted a little bit. Um, Dan Quinn's a heck of a coordinator. He's more of a schemer guy, which means he knows how to put schemes together. He's really good at putting structure together. I love him. He started all that up in Seattle, Dan Quinn, when he was working with Pete Carroll up there. And I really like him as a coordinator. As a head coach, I'm not so sure, but the Cowboys have a pretty good unit. Their front four is good. There's actually people that think that the Cowboys are a better defense than what the Eagles have. I don't think so. At number 4, I got the Eagles. New DC, unknowns everywhere. Still, cornerback. See, here's why the Eagles, in my opinion, are better than the Cowboys when it comes to defense. It's because they got their premium positions covered. They got their corners covered. They got an edge rusher. That's key when you're looking at your defense. The heart of your defense is gone. Your 5 top tacklers, your top defensive tackle's gone. All your backers are gone, and your safety position is a complete unknown. Up the heart of the team. A lot of question marks. Now, I will say this. Did they upgrade? Not in experience as on June 20th. Absolutely not. However, did they upgrade maybe athletically? Maybe. Here, I'll make this point to you. If Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox play great, that's going to be a great sign to see if Nakobe Dean can play. Because if those guys get knocked off the ball, in the last 2 years, you guys have struggled in defending the run. You're not the best run defenders. You were a little better this year than you were the year previous. Okay? But if they can't stop the run, that little dude's going to get killed back there. And they'll run the ball all night long on you. And as much as you guys think that TJ Watt and Kaiser White suck, they all got raises when they moved on. Those are 2 100 tackle guys. You think this guy Murrow, who was a guy that was in Chicago, who's a downgrade, and the Bears upgraded with your guy, and you got their downgrade, is an upgrade for you. How dumb. Completely dumb. Okay? Dumb. I'm sorry, Dan. My bad. Larry Allen won a Super Bowl. Oh, he did? He did? Oh, Greasy, I didn't know that. I didn't think he was on. I don't remember him being on those. So he was on the Switzer team? Larry Allen was the starting guard on that Switzer team? I'm going to have to check that out. I didn't realize that he had been in the league that long. Okay, maybe he was because he came out of Humboldt State. Okay, so I thought Larry Allen won a Super Bowl in San Francisco when he went to the 49ers. I was wrong about 92, 93. Okay. I didn't realize that he was on that last Super Bowl team with Switzer. Okay. My mistake. Here's your top 3 defenses. I got the Dolphins here at number 3. Vic Fangio's being brought in. I'll tell you what, man, they got a great-looking linebacker in that David Long kid, man. He's an up-and-coming kid. I love him. They added Jalen Ramsey. That's a pretty good-looking unit. They get after the quarterback with Phillips. That's a good-looking football team, man. That's a good football team. The Dolphins, depending on what Tagovailoa does, yeah, man, I think they're going to be a top 3 team. I like the fact that Vic Fangio's been brought in there. And now that you've added Jalen Ramsey, one of the better – dude, they got a pretty good a duo of corners themselves. And they rush the passer, and they got a better linebacking core than the Eagles do. As a matter of fact, there's not really anywhere you're better on defense than they are. The Eagles aren't – where do you have the advantage? Reddick? 16 – okay, Reddick. But again, Reddick's limited. Can't tackle, can't cover. I don't know. Wouldn't constitute him as an all-around player. Now, he does create fumbles. Okay? He does. But as an overall unit, I think the Dolphins are better. I got the Jets number 2. Quentin Williams, Gardner, their linebackers. Robert Saley's done a nice job, man. They got an elite group of players there. The Jets have a really good – that Quentin Williams can play. And they've got the best cover corner in the National Football League and Sauce Gardner. I think the Jets might be actually better on defense this year than on offense. I'll tell you something, man. Joe Douglas has done a hell of a job in building the Jets up since he's gotten that GM's job. He has definitely done a great job. I got the 49ers number 1. Great against the run, 77.7 yards a game, 3.4 a carry. Held the Eagles to the lowest offensive output of the entire year in the NFC title game. And obviously, there were numerous reasons that the score was high because it was small fields, turnovers. The offense couldn't do anything. But the 49ers held the Eagles to 260 yards in total offense. And I thought they really did a great job. And again, if you take that one gift pass away that Devontae didn't catch the ball, it would have been lower your number. San Francisco's got a great unit, man. Now they add Hargrave. I still say this about Javon Hargrave, though. I don't really think he's the greatest run defender. Okay? I don't think he's the greatest run defender. All right. I want to take a timeout. Philly 500 is going to join us. We'll throw all these questions at him. Detroit, Marshall, just outside. Same with the Bengals. Bengals are they're an underrated unit. I like their ends. I think Cincinnati, but they lose the safety to Atlanta. I think that's going to hurt them a little bit, especially in the AFC. They got some good pass rushers, very underrated pass rushers too. Philly 500 will join us at 4:30 Eastern time. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.